Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi co-chairs Paris AI Summit along with France's President Emmanuel Macron, showcases India's successful low-cost digital infrastructure. The US imposes 25% tariff on steel and aluminium imports, mulls tariffs on cars, semiconductors and pharmaceuticals too. And Trump warns of hell if Gaza captives are not freed by Saturday. This after Hamas postpones the next scheduled release of hostages.
If all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the third AI Summit at Le Grand Palais in Paris. India is co-chairing the AI Summit with its focus on reshaping industries and redefining the global technological landscape. Its aim is to make an inclusive, safe and trustworthy ecosystem. The Prime Minister was received by France's President Emmanuel Macron. More than 100 countries are participating to push AI forward and faster. Addressing the AI Action Summit in Paris, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that artificial intelligence is already reshaping the economy, society and security.
AI is already reshaping our polity, our economy, our security, and even our society. AI is writing the code for humanity in this century. But it is very different from other technology milestones in human history. AI is developing at an unprecedented scale and speed and being adapted and deployed even faster. There is also a deep interdependence across borders. Therefore, there is a need for collective global efforts to establish governance and standards that uphold our shared values, address risks, and build trust.
Prime Minister Modi said that India has successfully built a digital infrastructure at a very low cost.
India has successfully built a digital public infrastructure for over 1.4 billion people at a very low cost. It is built around an open and accessible network. It has regulations and a wide range of applications to modernize our economy, reform governance, and transform the lives of our people. We have unlocked the power of data through our data empowerment and protection architecture, and we have made digital commerce democratic and accessible to all. This vision is the foundation of India's national AI mission.
He said that AI can help transform millions of lives by improving health, education, and agriculture. He said it can help create a world in which the journey to sustainable development goals becomes easier and faster.
AI can help transform millions of lives by improving health, education, agriculture, and so much more. It can help create a world in which the journey to sustainable development goals becomes easier and faster.
Prime Minister Modi said that there is a need to invest in skilling and reskilling people for an AI-driven future. He said job loss is AI's most feared disruption, but history has shown that work does not disappear because of technology.
Loss of jobs is AI's most feared disruption. But history has shown that work does not disappear due to technology. Its nature changes and new types of jobs are created. We need to invest in skilling and reskilling our people for an AI-driven future.
The Indian Prime Minister said that New Delhi leads in AI adoption and techno-legal solutions on data privacy. India is developing AI applications for public good. He said India is ready to share its experience and expertise to ensure that AI's future is for good and for all.
Today, India leads in AI adoption and techno-legal solutions on data privacy. We are developing AI applications for public good. We have one of the world's largest AI talent pools. India is building its own large language model considering our diversity. And India is ready to share its experience and expertise to ensure that AI future is for good and for all.
All right, staying with this story, France is hosting an AI Action Summit in Paris. While previous global AI events have focused on regulating the technology, it looks like that could be changing. DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu joins us from Berlin for more. Chipendu, what has been the focus of the Paris AI Summit?
Thanks for having me. Well, for tech executives attending the summit in Paris, it is an opportunity for them to push for less regulation for artificial intelligence in Europe. Last year, the EU adopted the world's first and most comprehensive rules governing AI. But the bloc may be under pressure to change its rules. AI players have complained that compliance is expensive. And recently, US President Trump tore up his predecessor's AI guardrails. And he did that while announcing an eye-watering investment of $500 billion in AI over the next 4 years in the Stargate project. That was significantly higher than the 1.5 billion euro investment in AI that Brussels had announced in December. But EU countries may be actually trying to catch up.
Mm-hmm. Also, how's the EU trying to keep up with these developments?
Well, on Sunday, French President Emmanuel Macron announced that the private sector would invest a total of 109 billion euros in France's AI sector. Now, a big chunk of that will come from the United Arab Emirates, which will invest up to 50 billion euros in the coming years. And another outcome of the summit is the launch of a partnership called Current AI. That includes France, Germany, and some industry players like Google and Salesforce. And that initiative will start with a $400 million investment that will be ramped up to $2.5 billion over the coming years. While these amounts of money are less than the $500 billion in the Stargate project in the United States, they are still significantly higher than what was announced last year in Europe. And it could be a sign that the tide here is turning when it comes to investment in AI. And a big question is how the EU will proceed with AI regulation.
All right, we'll leave it there, Chiponda. Thank you. Chiponda Chimbelu reporting there from Berlin. Now, India and France, two nations steeped in history, culture, and innovation, share a deep-rooted relationship that's only grown stronger over the years. As both nations collaborate on cutting-edge technology, sustainable development, and global security, their bond continues to shape the world stage. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports from Paris.
India and France, the two nations rich in history, culture, and innovation, share a deep-rooted relationship that has gone stronger over the years. From strategic defense cooperation to cultural ties, this partnership is built on mutual respect and shared global aspirations. Defense and strategic partnership. Now, when we talk about defense and strategic partnership between these two countries, one of the strongest pillars of India-France relationship is defense cooperation. France has been a key supplier of advanced military technology to India. The Rafale fighter jets, the Scorpion submarines, and joint military exercises like Varuna in the Indian Ocean highlight their commitment to security and maritime cooperation. Both the nations support a free, open, and stable Indo-Pacific region, countering the challenges like piracy and regional conflicts. Space and technology. India and France are pioneers in space exploration. The Indian Space Research Organization, that is the ISRO, and the French Space Agency collaborate on climate monitoring, satellite launches, and deep space mission. This partnership helps both nations in tackling climate changes and advancing scientific research. Energy and climate change. As co-founders of the International Solar Alliance, India and France are committed to renewable energy. They work together on clean energy projects aiming for a sustainable future. Their joint efforts in nuclear energy also plays a crucial role in reducing carbon emission. Education and culture. From literature to cinema, India and France share a vibrant cultural exchange. Thousands of Indian students study in France thanks to scholarship and partnership between universities. French fashion, food, and languages are gaining popularity in India, while Indian music, yoga, and festivals are celebrated in France. With shared values of liberty, democracy, and innovation, India and France continue to strengthen their relationship. With Prime Minister Modi's visit, this relationship between the two countries set to reach new heights in global diplomacy, security, and cultural exchange. Two nations, one vision towards a brighter future. With Camperson Rockets, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Paris.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Dubai hosts the largest edition of MRO Middle East and Aircraft Interiors Middle East 2025.
timeless, boundless, and infinite, the essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. US President Donald Trump signed executive orders to impose 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports from the 12th of March. The tariffs, which will increase the costs of importing the metals into the US, come despite warnings of retaliation from some countries.
Any steel coming into the
In yet another major escalation of his trade policy overall, US President Donald Trump has announced a 25% import tax on all steel and aluminium entering the US.
Simplifying our tariffs on steel and aluminum so that everyone can understand exactly what it means. It's 25% without exceptions or exemptions. And that's all countries, no matter where it comes from, all countries. If made in the United States, however, United States of America, there is no tariff, zero. So if it's made in the United States, there is no tariff. All you have to do is make it in the United States. We don't need it from another country.
The tariff tirade seems to be an unending saga, as Trump said he was also looking at tariffs on cars, semiconductor chips, and pharmaceuticals also. He also announced plans to impose reciprocal tariffs on other countries over the next 2 days. Nations exporting metal products to the US are scrambling for concession. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called Donald Trump and later announced that the Republican president has agreed to consider an exemption for Australia.
I presented Australia's case for an exemption, and we agreed on wording to say publicly, which is that the US President agreed that an exemption was under consideration for in the interests of both of our countries.
New tariffs on steel could bring unexpected cost to consumers. The effect would be felt both ways, since the increase in price of steel in the US would raise the cost of construction in all projects. Apart from that, the increased duties on aluminium will raise the cost of all many canned products. Bureau Report, DD India.
All right, joining us from Paris for more on the AI Summit is my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya. Tapas, if you can hear me, talk to us first of all about the major takeaways from the Prime Minister's speech at the summit. Why don't you put the text of his speech in its proper context for our viewers?
Right, so the most important part, he mentioned the fact that it is not just AI, it is aspirational India. For a country of size of India, it is important that they move on in that direction. And more importantly, mention the fact that the governance is a major issue. Governance is a concern that needs to be understood. AI is here, so skilling, reskilling, these are very important points that he mentioned that needs to be done. Other point he mentioned about the security aspect, the deep fake, the security, the misinformation. These are very important points that he mentioned that needs to be taken into consideration. Also about connected to a global south when it comes to providing them the AI technology, the benefit of that to the global south. That's something that is very important. He, as I mentioned, he raised a concern about cyber security, deep fakes, and ensure that technology is rooted to local ecosystem. So in a way, what he's talking about is, if it about India, then AI technology is made in India for the world or for the local population. So that is very important. Also, nature of job changes, as I mentioned, the skilling and reskilling, those are very important points that he mentioned. He also mentioned, thanked President Emmanuel Macron, of French president, of inviting him. And he mentioned the fact that the relationship between both the countries is very strong. They are already into international solar alliances and that spill over to AI now, where India is co-chairing this. India has also successfully built a digital public infrastructure. He mentioned that particular point. I know that's something that a lot of people don't know about, and to the world, that's a huge point about India's digital public infrastructure, which is for over 1.4 billion people. So that with the UPI and the way the financial transaction is done, those are very important point. There, you also mentioned the fact that India is now developing AI applications for public good, and India is building large language model, for its diversity of population. Already, we have in India, we have a Bhashini AI, which translates in all the languages that we have. So those points he put forth, and also he mentioned the fact that people should not be worried about machines becoming superior in intelligence to humans, but no one holds the key to our collective future and shared destiny other than us humans. So it is humans, it is us who have to shape our own destiny, and AI is expected to play a crucial role in that. So that's something that came out from his speech. It's a crisp speech. It's a speech that showcases India's commitment towards AI, towards security. Remember, it's a third edition of the AI summit. First time it has been named AI Action Summit. What action needs to be taken to take AI forward globally? Right now, some developed countries has a bit of a monopoly on that. Some companies have a bit of a monopoly on that. That needs to be stopped. So those are very important things. And I'll tell you something. Ramesh, I will give you a guy, in a short while, and I think in a few minutes from now, his paintings, his digital art will be displayed here. His name is Rashid bin, am I right?
Fabin Rashid.
Fabin Rashid is his name. Fabin, tell us, our viewers, you are a digital artist, and your art will be played out here, isn't it?
Yeah. It is a wonderful opportunity, to be here in Paris, exhibiting at the AI Action Summit. It's a 4-video work that is going to be shown. It's made out of AI, and I've been working with subconscious imageries, which really relates to mental images. And now, how can that be translated into digital art? And evolving. So
basically, what he's saying is that AI has shifted to generative AI. Am I right? Now, generative AI is the future, isn't it?
The term AI itself, there's a lot of evolution, there's a lot of history to it. We call it generative AI. Now, it could be something in the future. Right now, what I've been working on, I could, put it under the bracket of generative AI as such. Yes.
And tell us, when you came here, they told you, it's a huge, proud moment for you, for the country, also for India, that, your work will be displayed here. For a country like India, it's a huge moment. Co-chairing, and this whole place will be showing Fabin's work. So, how does it feel?
No pressure. I'm just kidding. No, it's such an honor. It's such an honor that the French presidency as well as the Indian delegations have recognized the work, and it's such an honor to be in this wonderful stage. It's in the center of Grand Palais. It's this 4 large screens, and I'm going to show some of my best work here. No pressure at all.
That's Fabin. His work will be shown all these. There's a 4 big screen out here. His work will be is shown here. It's a generative AI. It's a work that he has done, subconscious work that he has put on and canvas in a way, and it will be shown here. It's a big moment for India, not just co-chairing this AI summit, but also India's artists showcasing their talent here in Grand Palais.
Indeed, absolutely fascinating there, Tapas. We've spoken about the Prime Minister's speech. We've also spoken about the artist, Fabin Rashid. Now, let's talk a bit, if you will, before we let you go, about the summit itself. We can see people milling, the delegates milling behind you at the venue of the summit. Talk to us a bit, if you will, about who all are attending this summit, how many countries are there in Paris as we speak, and also the engagements of the Prime Minister through the day.
Right. So what I can tell you, if I can tell my cameraman to show you this, that's the entry point. From there is inside, there is a delegation level talks that is generally happening. All the country, almost 100 countries representatives are here. The tech geniuses, tech innovators, the head of state, prime ministers, presidents, ministers, information minister, technology ministers, all these, from almost 100 countries have turned up. This is the biggest tech summit in the world. Everybody who's who of AI has come here to put forth their views. That is one. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be leaving a short while from here. Around 2 o'clock, we believe there will be a press conference of MEE in the hotel. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also have a CEO's conference from a short while from now. And then he will leave for Marseille. And from there, we believe, and as I mentioned, as I mentioned to you, Ramesh, these are the artwork you could see. These artwork are being done by Fabian Rashid, and you can see these artwork, amazing artwork has been done, live and exclusive only on TT India, about exactly what India is all about.
So as my colleague Tapas is pointing out, these are the latest visuals of Indian artist Fabian Rashid's works being displayed at the venue of the AI Action Summit being held in Paris.
Ramesh, now, am I audible to you now?
Yes, please, carry on.
Right, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for Marseille, and I can tell you one point that as per our sources, he is expected to depart from Paris on French president's aircraft, and that's the bonhomie that shows. So we've been told by our sources that that's going to happen. Prime Minister has come here on on his special plane. That plane will also go with him to Marseille, but Prime Minister Modi will be with French President Emmanuel Macron on his special plane. They will be discussing a lot of points. Then they will visit a thermonuclear facility in Marseille. Our correspondent Jessica will be there to give you a detail about that. And then there is a World War II cemetery that is there of Indian soldiers who laid down their life for France. So Prime Minister Modi will be going there as well, and there will be obviously delegation talk. There will be bilateral talks with French President. There are a lot of things that they will be discussing, especially defense. How to increase the number of students, Indian students in France. Right now, currently India, 10,000 Indian students are studying in France. So we believe that the number is expected to touch 25,000. So French President is working on those. French President is talking about that. Defense, as I mentioned, that's a very important aspect. There is also an important aspect about nuclear energy that both countries are working on. So those things will be discussed in threadbare when these two leaders will have a bilateral talk with each other. And then obviously in Marseille we will have an Indian consulate that will be opened by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So these are short, in a short I can tell you these are the engagement of Prime Minister Modi. And then from there PM will leave on 12th for his trip to United States.
Right, just to recap what Tapas is reporting there from Paris, the artwork that you see behind Tapas at the venue of the summit is by an Indian artist, Fabian Rashid. Those are his works behind him on that big giant screen there. Tapas also reporting that we are standing by for a couple of events, including the Indian Foreign Ministry briefing on the PM's engagements in Paris, and also his meeting with the CEOs in Paris after the summit gets over. And as he mentioned, we are looking forward to the PM traveling along with President Macron in the French President's aircraft to Marseille on his next leg of his visit. Will inaugurate the Indian consulate there in that port city of France. Tapas, thank you. Appreciate it. Right, moving on, the largest edition of an MRO Middle East and Aircraft Interiors Middle East 2025 opened in Dubai. Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed Al Maktoum, the president of Dubai Civil Aviation Authority, the chair of Dubai Airports, and the chair and chief executive of Emirates Airline and Group, inaugurated the event. The two-day event has attracted more than 200 international exhibitors, highlighting the aviation sector's robust growth amid a record high passenger demand. It focuses on aircraft modernization programs and maintenance, repair and overhaul services, bringing together key players from across the global aviation supply chain. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The third edition of India Energy Week begins in New Delhi. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla holds talks with parliamentary delegation from the Maldives in New Delhi.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The third edition of India Energy Week began on Tuesday with Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually addressing the four-day mega event. India Energy Week 2025 incorporates 7 key strategic themes of collaboration, resilience, transition, capacity, digital frontiers, innovation, and leadership, with greater emphasis on pragmatic solutions for decarbonization, energy equity, and low-carbon economies. It promises unparalleled global participation from ministers, CEOs, and industry leaders. The Prime Minister underlined the steps taken by his government to promote green energy in the 2025 budget. He said every investment being made in energy is creating new jobs for the youth and creating opportunities for green jobs.
सरकार ने ईवी और मोबाइल फोन बैटरी की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से जुड़ी कई चीजों को बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी से बाहर किया है। कोबाल्ट पाउडर, लिथियम आयन बैटरी वेस्ट, लेड, जिंक, ऐसे अनेक क्रिटिकल मिनरल से ड्यूटी हटा दी गई है। नेशनल क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स मिशन भी भारत में एक सशक्त सप्लाई चेन के निर्माण में बड़ी भूमिका निभाएगा। नॉन लिथियम बैटरी इकोसिस्टम को प्रमोट करने की दिशा में भी हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। इस वर्ष के बजट में हमने न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी सेक्टर को भी ओपन कर दिया है। एनर्जी में हो रहा हर इन्वेस्टमेंट नौजवानों के लिए नई जॉब्स क्रिएट कर रहा है, ग्रीन जॉब्स के अवसर बना रहा है। साथियों, भारत के एनर्जी सेक्टर को मजबूती देने के लिए हम इसे जनता की पावर से लेस कर रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi said that India is undertaking reforms to explore the potential of its hydrocarbon resources.
भारत अपने हाइड्रोकार्बन रिसोर्सेज के पोटेंशियल को पूरी तरह से एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए निरंतर रिफॉर्म्स कर रहा है। बड़ी डिस्कवरीज और गैस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के व्यापक विस्तार के कारण हमारा गैस सेक्टर एक्सपांड कर रहा है। इससे हमारे एनर्जी मिक्स में नेचुरल गैस का शेयर बढ़ा है। भारत अभी 4th लार्जेस्ट रिफाइनिंग हब है और हम अपनी कैपेसिटी 20% तक बढ़ाने में जुटे हैं।
All right, moving on. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla held talks with parliamentary delegation from the Maldives, led by the Speaker of the Maldives People's Majlis, Abdul Rahim Abdullah, on Tuesday. A memorandum of understanding was signed between the parliaments of the two countries. Recalling his meeting last year with Speaker Abdullah in Geneva, Lok Sabha Speaker said that the two countries have centuries-old cultural, economic and trade relations. Italy lauds India's desire to be self-reliant in the defence sector. The Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Defence of Italy spoke to my colleague Vishal Baristo and spoke about how India and Italy share a strong bond. Take a listen.
During the last 2 years, there have been 5 meetings between the Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of Italy here at Aero India Show. I have with me the Under Secretary for Defence from Italy. Let's talk to him. Now, when we talk about India and Italy, what do you have to say, especially about the defence cooperation between the two countries?
We recently renewed the defence cooperation agreement among our Minister of Defence, and most important, the joint action plan signed by Prime Minister Meloni and Prime Minister Modi, which has specific focus on defence, collaboration and cooperation. So as you see, we are in a path of strengthening the cooperation among the two countries from a defence perspective and involving our industries.
What do you have to say on when the defence sector is there in the Aero India Show?
Our approach is to cooperate with a country like India to enhance the possibility for India to in light of the Make in India, Self-Reliance India policy. We want to support this policy, so we are open to discuss with the Indian government in having the opportunity to have co-production and to transfer know-how and transfer technology to the country. So this is the way Italy operates with friends and ally countries like India.
So there you heard the Under-Secretary for Defence in Italy. Both countries appear to be on the same page as far as self-reliance is concerned and also defence cooperation is concerned. With cameraman C.K. Ashok in Bangalore, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
India and Israel on Tuesday organized their biggest ever business-to-business meet in New Delhi under the auspices of the India-Israel Business Forum. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and his Israeli counterpart Nir M. Barkat inaugurated the meeting. During the two-day meeting, industrialists from both countries will sign MOUs and work on collaboration between their respective sectors. In his address, India's Minister Piyush Goyal invited the Israeli companies to invest in India to benefit from the overall development of the business milieu in the country.
You can look upon us as a trusted partner because even during COVID, India did not let down a single commitment that we had made to anybody in the world. So we quickly rejigged our operations. Literally overnight, we started providing broadband connectivity to people's homes. And whoever had their back offices in India, whoever had their service centers in India, whoever had anything to do with India was able to continue their operations. We did not let down any bank, any financial institution, any Fortune 500 company, anybody. In terms of what we had committed or our service level agreements, we made sure we met every commitment that we made to the world. And therefore you can depend on India.
For his part, Israel's Minister of Economy and Industry, Nir M. Barkat, praised the growth of Indian economy and took pride in ever-growing relations between the two countries.
Please feel very comfortable being with Indians. You're happy, you're warm-hearted, you're good people. And so Israelis enjoy being here. So we have good government to government, we have good people to people, and that is why that's the infrastructure and the foundation of doing a lot of good business.
The Rajya Sabha of the upper house of India's parliament on Tuesday resumed the discussion on the General Budget 2025-26. Participating in the discussion, Minister of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, Rajiv Ranjan Singh, said the fisheries sector has witnessed a 126% growth, making India the second largest country in fish production. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will reply to the discussion in the Lok Sabha or the lower house on Tuesday. The minister will give a reply in the Rajya Sabha on Thursday. All right, now take a look at what else is making news in India. The fourth India-UK Energy Dialogue, co-chaired by Ministers Manohar Lal and Ed Miliband, was held in New Delhi. The dialogue focused on reviewing the progress made in the energy sectors of both nations, including power and renewable energy. Let's take you to the AI Action Summit in Paris for the latest.
AI actions and with our friend Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who coordinated work with us, we trust that they will be a solid basis for the future. We have some 10 commitments, around 100 decisions, initiatives and coalitions on subjects which are greatly diverse in range and which will make it possible to tackle the challenges raised in the course of this work. Obviously, I can't sum up everything that's been said in the course of the summit, but I would like to point out 3 key take-home messages. First, we're all convinced that this is a time of innovation and acceleration. And this is why in the course of the discussions, and we've seen it today, that we have this dilemma of what's positive, what's negative, whether we're afraid or feeling there's hope. And we'll see that the actions will speak for themselves. We know that we want to be involved in this. We realize that this is competition, and we are decided to do this because this is a matter of sovereignty, and sovereignty for all participants. So we're living a moment of great innovation and extreme speed. It's a time of acceleration of choices and of investments. In the course of the summit, we announced 109 billion in private funding for artificial intelligence. That's from France and international sources, and we just heard 200 billion from the European Union. And so we can see that. Well, we know what's happening in the United States. We know there's been great success in China, and we've had an announcement from our friends in the Gulf about the major investments there. There are investments in India, Canada, and so many others here today. And we know that the race is definitely being run. That's the first thing. But we have to realize that we're all involved in running the race. And the figures that I just gave you show you. And I would like to say how pleased we are that this is a real moment of awakening and ambition to be involved in this in Europe. We want to invest in talent, training younger generations who have more and more positions for research and at university level. We want to invest in data and the consolidation of data. And we need to have a framework for accessing the data. We want to invest in data centers, and the President of the Commission announced the program for setting up a data center in Europe for public research and startups. And we announced a number of massive-scale data centers funded by the private sector in France, and we made the announcement here at the summit. And the strong point here is there's real ability to have sustainable, low-carbon energy sources, and this is where the French model of civil nuclear power is a real strong point. And together we decided to accelerate work on applications. We've seen this has to be applied science, applications and mobility in defense and security. And there are a number of large groups in France and international countries have made announcements and signed up contracts with new players in artificial intelligence, with new partnerships, grasping the opportunities here. And we are all convinced that artificial intelligence will be an opportunity opportunity for us all to learn better, to have better healthcare, to have better work, and to have better life within our societies. And this is a society of competition, innovation, and sovereignty. But this is a period, as I said, of innovation and acceleration. The second message is how we can build up trust, and to get away from this dilemma of risks on the one side and opportunity on the other, thinking that the only option is regulations, which might be an obstacle to innovations. I think that the challenge we are all up against is that governments have to take action, but also civil society needs to act, and private enterprise does too. Major investors need to too. We need to know how we can have trust in artificial intelligence and the use thereof, because that will be the key part of its success. Because if we can't trust it, then we won't have artificial intelligence adopted around the world or spread around the world, and we'll see that in a few years' time there will be lots of our fellow citizens saying, we don't want AI in our country. It's a source of problems and negative impact on our lives. Now, what do we need for establishing such a climate of trust? First, you have to have fair and open access. And the question of access is of decisive importance. We need to have wide-ranging access, and we've seen this internationally with players from Asia-Pacific, Latin America, and other regions of the world. And we need to have access for all continents and all countries. And we've seen this with Prime Minister Modi. This is the third path. We don't want a system of those who are in power and the rest of vassals. We want to have this serving the entire planet. And I don't believe that the world will be divided between the global north and the global south, just looking at one another, because if we want to have trust in artificial intelligence, we have to make sure there is equitable access to these innovations in all continents. And this is a challenge for both public authorities and the private sector. And, of course, this is a challenge in our societies, too. We must not let a divide be established between the older generation and younger generations, or in certain parts of our countries, with differences in access to artificial intelligence. Then the next question is the quality of the data. If we want to trust artificial intelligence, we have to have greater and more consolidated quality data. And that way we will have trust in them and they can be certified. And we want to have models, we want to have open access, but it has to be multiple access. We're all different. You can see it just looking around the auditorium here. And the example we saw from Prime Minister Modi earlier with the left hand and the right hand, we can see the different models. We want open source models and multiple sorts which reflect our diversity, which look like us. And that is why open source and multiple models and opening up databases for the training of such models and the diversity of that and the transparency of algorithms are key elements to establish trust in artificial intelligence. We also want to have a proper respect for privacy. We've heard this in discussions. And we are here in a world where data is so open and we can accelerate innovation with it, but there has to be proper protection of privacy. And so we need to have a framework to establish trust so that each citizen has the assurance that their privacy is protected. We want a trust framework so that we can make a distinction between deep fakes and proper information. We want a framework that will protect our authorities from cyber attacks and means that we can have a calm environment to work with AI. We want a framework to have proper respect for creativity. And each person creating something has their rights. You get authors' rights, copyright, and so on for artists, reporters, writers, and so on. And we want to have a situation where artificial intelligence is not used for mass control, but we have to have a proper law and order in our environments. we have to have proper arrangements because artificial intelligence needs so much energy, and yet we want to protect our planet and biodiversity. So we have to foster artificial intelligence which will find low-carbon electricity and more frugal models which will make it possible for us to use less energy. Now, what I'm sketching out here are what we could call the commons or the pillars, and they're not other people's problems, and they shouldn't be seen as a problem which innovators are just referring to someone else who would have to deal with them. These are inbuilt problems. They are part and parcel of artificial intelligence, and this is what means that we will be able to trust or not trust artificial intelligence when it becomes part of our lives, our countries, and our population, and we need to have that so that there can be international order. So this concept of trust and some of the basic paradigms that I've just mentioned are the framework that we need and must work with. We've launched the first coalitions, and we have concrete actions. We've got the Current AI Foundation, which is a response, and we've got 400 million euros which have already been committed, and France is going to be contributing some 100 million euros, and I would urge you all to be part of this. And you could say it's a public-private partnership, and it will be an answer to this question of trust. And then there's the question of data. We need to have the trust so that we know what type of data there is, what security they have, and what quality the data is. We need to have sustainable AI, and that's going to be part of the whole question of trust, and that's going to give us transparency so that public and private players can be involved. We've also decided on observatories for both social issues and energy issues, and this is the framework which means we'll be able to look at issues such as climate and also accessibility and cover of access to artificial intelligence. So these are the foundations that we've set next to the acceleration so that AI can become become a source of trust. And basically, it will be what we could call shared or common order. And this brings me to my last argument, and this is that we must defend our way of life, a multilateral way of life, a multiple way of expressing artificial intelligence. 7 years ago, with Prime Minister Trudeau, under the auspices of the G7, which Canada chaired, we launched the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence. And it's now housed with the OECD, and we can see the dialogue. There are some 44 countries, or 44 countries at the moment, will be some 60 in the very near future. And we are working on standards. There are standards with players from different backgrounds and different cultures. The United Nations has the digital compact, the Global Digital Compact, and we've got the Secretary General here mentioned it, and we've got UNESCO, the Francophone Organization, the Council of Europe, and their different areas have worked on this, and we know that these are key organizations, and we can see that in these different organizations, as we can see in this summit here, that we have international governance of artificial intelligence. And this means that on the basis of actions and coalitions which we have now launched, will make it possible for us to consolidate the elements needed for us to have trustworthy artificial intelligence at this period of acceleration and innovation, and we will be able to set the rules, because we do need these rules. We need it for AI to move forward. This is not being wary of artificial intelligence, it's not running counter to innovation, but it's looking to the future so that we can have an international area where we will avoid our efforts being fragmented. So these are the ideas that I wanted to share with you. And we believe in innovation, we believe in acceleration, we believe in investment, and we also want to have AI which we can consider trustworthy and which will unite the international community. And I would like to conclude with some words of thanks to all of you who have worked on this and the foundations of this joint weather. I would like to thank Anne Bouvereau, the special envoy for this summit, and she did the work on all 5 continents. Yeah. Thank you to her and her wonderful team, Martin Tisney, Sanat Kosen, Roxane Vasa, Guillaume Poupin, Henri Verdier, Axel Mermebin, and Chloé Goupin, who is the Secretary General of the summit, which has been perfectly organized. Thank you to the ministers, and thank you to the Grand Palais, the Palais de la Découverte, which hosted us here. And thank you one and all for being here. And in conclusion, I would like to invite my friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to come up and say a few words and to make a major announcement. Prime Minister.
Friends, today's discussions have brought one thing. There is unity in vision and unity in purpose across stakeholders. I welcome the decision to set up the AI Foundation at the Council for Sustainable AI. I congratulate France and my dear friend President Macron for these initiatives and assure our full support. We must also make the global partnership for AI truly global in nature. It should be more inclusive of the global South and its priorities, concerns and needs. To build on the momentum of this Action Summit, India would be happy to host the next summit. Thank you.
Everybody up for a group photo with the co-hosts, please.
All right, you were watching the live proceedings from the AI Action Summit in Paris. These are the pictures coming to you live from the venue of the AI Action Summit, co-chaired by India and France, which is taking place in Paris. The leaders are gathering together for a family photograph towards the end of their deliberations, discussions, negotiations for the future of AI and the future of the world that will be shaped by artificial intelligence. The leaders all gathering there, as you can see on your screens, for a family photograph towards the end of the third AI summit in Paris, France. If I can just quickly recap the main highlights and takeaways from those speeches towards the end by President Macron and Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi making two announcements. One, he welcomed the setting up of the AI Foundation at the Council for Sustainable AI in Paris, France, number one. And number two, he proposed to host the next AI summit here in India in 2026. Two big takeaways from the PM's speech there. He also spoke about how these deliberations in Paris today have focused on unity in vision and purpose across all stakeholders. He spoke about how the AI partnership has to be truly global in nature, inclusive of the global South's priorities, concerns, and needs. And if I can quickly recap what President Macron said, he spoke about how AI needs to be open source for one. He spoke about transparency in algorithm, trust and privacy, for which a framework is required. He spoke about cybersecurity, copyright protection, and AI and energy, the frugal models or low carbon path for AI in the future, and also about setting the rules of the road, as it were, for the use of AI going forward. Right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.